Say, man, you're in a privileged position right now. You're in a place to be. Matter of fact, a place to G with the one and only S&OOP. So what you gonna do now? Turn that shit up and let it bang.
Everybody that you fight is not your enemy.
Trenches.
And everybody that helps you is not
work
your
on your
friend.
free time. Nico Trenches, we train
And
online
that's
the
what life
D-line. Getting sacks on quarterbacks, you know we live. When you kick that 45, keep your nose on the inside. Better punch something, keep your feet moving, dog. My 3 10 and 110, they some real hogs. My DN 6'5", he ain't got no flaws. Good grades, good feet, man, he got it all. I said a crazy he'll snatch something. Real aggressive jump, said he tryna grab something. If the old don't shoot their hands, you better jab some. You better stab some. More than snatch some. From the youth to the pros, we get it in. If you ain't watching film, you ain't trying to win. If he close the beat gap, then you gotta spin. If you get around the edge, then you gotta bend. I'm in the trenches where the lineman at. I'm in the trenches where the lineman at. I'm in the trenches where the lineman at. Where the lineman at? Where the lineman at? D tackle, do your dance. D ends, do your dance. Center, do your dance. Guard, do your dance. Tackle, do your dance. I'm in the trenches where the lineman at. I'm in the trenches where the lineman at.
Fucking bet against me. Bet against me. Tell me it's not going to happen. Tell me it's going to fail. I love it. I love every minute of it.
Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, TKB. We are back with another episode, Bushleague Sports, episode 28, week 2 NFL. I'm going to be joined by my pal Juice. We're going to get into all things. Obviously, I'm probably going to hear it because the Steelers whooped the Broncos. To be expected. The boys are absolutely no good, but I probably shouldn't say that as a fan of the team. And then we'll be joined by Sleep. We'll touch on a little bit of fantasy football action going on in our fantasy tournament, and dial in to everything going on in the upcoming NHL season. But I know my buddy Juice has a place to be tonight, and we started late, so I'm going to bring him up to the stage, see what he's up to. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, my man, and everybody? Appreciate you having me here once again, my man.
Hey, appreciate you coming. As always, like I say, sorry we had to run a little late today. I actually snuck home yesterday, literally drove for 12 hours just to be in the city for 10 hours, but it was my mom's 60th birthday. So I surprised her.
Happy birthday to her, man. Happy birthday.
Shout out to love it. I showed up with my little girl about 7 last night and surprised her for a birthday party, and then literally hung out for like 4 hours, went to sleep, and then drove home this morning after I had breakfast with my dad. So here we are. We're going to get into it, baby. My Broncos took a loss. Whatever. Way she goes. At least I was on the road, didn't have to watch it.
Bro, that was a game. I think both teams need improvement, man. But hey, I think both teams have a lot of young players, and they need adjustment, and they just need to keep working together, and they'll be good. But today's game was good. I think Justin Fields play better than he did. He's getting comfortable, but he was overthrowing people, which was not good, and he was overthrowing people more than he should be. But overall, I think Bo Nix was performing really good, especially when he threw that 49-yard pass. And Cortland Sutton, I wish he would have got more passes and some more yards, but he also did some good. Today was a good game. It was actually one of those. It wasn't like one of those like thrilling Bronco and Steeler game like back then, but it was actually a really decent game to watch for both teams.
For sure, and I guess we may as well just chat about that game quick before we roll on. But just hard to watch Sean Payton in that offense. They got a 4th and 7, and they run a play. Not one player is past the first down marker. Like what's the point of running that play? I just still can't believe. We spent 2 years of draft capital on this coach. He sucks. Drew Brees was the coach in New Orleans, and I don't know what they got this guy doing. But if you can't draw up a play where at least one guy goes past the first down marker on a 4th down, just get out. Just leave, please. Just quit. or anything. I don't know. We'll just pay you. We pay everybody in the whole league, so we may as well just pay him and boot him.
Oh my God.
We're paying Russ what, like $98 million just to sit and watch and warm up. I got a question though. Why is Russ? He's not even. He's emergency third. Why is he wearing his pads on the sideline? What's he doing? Like, what is he? Where does he think he is?
Look, man, the word you just said, emergency quarterback. When I saw that, because you know how they released the list before Sunday on the day of game day of every player that's not going to be playing on Sunday. Yeah. So I go look at the Steelers, and it says Russell Wilson, then it says emergency quarterback. And I'm just like, but at the same time, what's really triggering me, bro, and making me upset is the fact that you got a calf injury that was like 4 or 5 weeks ago, and it's still a calf injury. It's like, what's
same
going
as Christian
on, my
McCaffrey.
man?
We'll get into that in a game or two, but CMC out, right?
Yeah.
That's screwing people big time in their fantasy leagues. He was consensus, I would say almost consensus number 1 overall pick. The only other guy I seen drafted that early was Tyreek Hill or him, and he really screwed everyone. But yeah, calf injury, he's not playing. The guy's getting paid by the whole league, and he's wearing his pads. Like, you're not even on the active roster. Get out of your pads. My Lord. Go put him on if the other guy gets hurt. But geez, just a disaster. But no, the Steelers took a win. I lost some money betting my buddy, and I knew I was going to lose, but I just did it for fun.
Oh man,
sweet. Well, I know you can't stay long today, but first game on the docket Thursday nighter, Bills Dolphins. Obviously, absolute domination by the Bills. We don't see a really big performance from Josh Allen this week, but James Cook, 3 touchdowns, just an all-around good team performance. It seems like you're either going to get a bunch of touchdowns from Josh Allen or they're going to come from James Cook. But this week goes the other. I wouldn't shy away from starting.
I like that guy, man. James Cook, he's very versatile. He can run the ball really good. He can catch the ball and run the ball, and he still get some yak. When I mean some yak, guys, I mean some yards after catch. But
yeah, for sure.
The defense, I give it to the Bills. The defense actually showed up to play because there were some interceptions as well on defense, and they shut down those guys really, really well. And one thing I can say, man, is Josh. A lot of people expected the Bills not to perform well. Like, I in my eyes, I think the team they can perform, all right. I think Keon Coleman also has to learn how to get open. He's a pretty good player. He's big.
Yeah, I told all kinds of people to start him this week, and he put up a 0, so I'm an absolute idiot. But hey, at least we call the place Bushleague Sports. You can't expect much.
Yeah, man. He could have done better, man. That's the thing about these guys. 1 week you'll see they're not really used. That's something you barely saw last season, but I guess they're kind of doing now. Like, for example, like rookies will come into the league, and like they're coming in this year, they're coming into the league, and they'll have 1 week where they have a shitty play time and performance because they didn't get the ball, or they aren't catching the ball or doing what they need to do, or it's just they'll have 1 week and they're really like extraordinary.
Yeah, well, I mean, Marvin Harrison's a perfect example, right? 1 catch, 4 yards last week. This week, he's got 132 touchdowns. I mean, the guy's absolutely ripping. But like you said, in the Bills-Dolphins game, just, Bills pretty much overpowered the Dolphins the whole game.
Quick question for you. Do you think what quarterback do you think they're going to get? Like, because they did mention they're looking for a veteran quarterback. Do you think they're going to go for like Ryan Tannehill or somebody else?
I mean, so one thing that confused, like, why have a backup quarterback if you don't plan for him to be the guy if the other guy gets injured? Like, that's something that they're like, okay, he's down for the season, so now our backup guy, we need to find. Why didn't you find someone before the season that you wanted to be that guy? It's confusing as heck to me. Like, it just like, they're all banking on no injury ever. Maybe this guy only has to play a couple plays or two. It's like, what? how much could you show you have no confidence in the guy who's starting for your team? Like, what does that do for him mentally when you're literally like, well, you're the guy, and then his opportunity comes and like, oh, we're looking for someone else. It's like, oh, well, now you're just putting him in a pressure cooker, almost guaranteed to perform worse in that situation. Like, you're supposed to trot him out and have some confidence in him, and in that breath too. What are your thoughts on Waddle and Hill not even watching the game and leaving the game early? I just like look at that and I'm like, man, that is so much disrespect to your team. I didn't like
this,
it,
man, because I totally agree with you. They should have had a backup quarterback way before the season started, because let's not forget Tua's had issues in the past, with.
Well, I know going into last year, I was like, there's no way Tua makes it through the year. He seems like he gets touched on the head and he goes down. And then I was like, oh, he made it through the whole year. He played awesome. That's great. That's what we want to see. I want to see the guy healthy. And then you see him not even get hit. Like, he just ran into DeMar Hamlin and literally like straight, like he got UFC KO. They didn't even show that replay anywhere on TV after too, which is kind of crazy. Like, you had to kind of be watching the game live to see it. But he was straight up, like, he got knocked out cold, UFC style, like hands in the air, twitching, like a sign of a straight up, like, brain issue, right? So, like, first and foremost, want him to have good health, right? And if you can't even run into a guy, and that's what's happening to you, there's, like, some neurological issues, I think, where he just maybe can't take impact, right? And again, I'm not here to speak about his career or anything like that. That's for him to decide at the end of the day what he wants to put his body through. But I mean, we've seen him have some of the worst concussions in the league, in 3 of them, like where he's literally not just like down, like he's like having a bodily reaction to the hit, right?
Yeah, that's true, man. I think he should. I'm not, again, it's like how you said, I just want to add this too. Like, I'm not going to speak on his career. I don't know his career, but it's just, I think, right now is the time to actually think about your health, because these things, the older you get, your brain does, function slower. And it's like, you don't want it to go into a long health issue when you do get older. You get what I'm saying? So taking care of health now is important.
For sure. But I think going into next week, I mean, I'm firing up any of the Bills guys that I normally would. Josh Allen's still going to be starting for me at quarterback, same as Tyreek Hill, Waddle, still going to play them. But if you have, like, it depends who you have, right? Like, there's a couple guys who I might start ahead of Hill or Waddle next week, just based off of it. Can Skyler play well or not, right? So it's going to be a question that we'll have to look to and see how it all shapes up coming out the Thursday. I'll fire out a tweet or two, but I still think we're going to fire up Hill and Waddle, but I'm lowering expectations big time.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be how. I mean, it's sad to say, because they're a team that deserves to win. They have a lot of weapons, a lot of talented players on both offense and defense. It would just suck to, like, just see they don't have a quarterback in order to push that team to win.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Tua's the backbone of that team. Without him, what are they going to do, right? But we wish them the best health, and we'll see what they get up to next week. The next game after that, the first game, obviously a bunch of games start at the same time on Sunday morning, but 49ers Viking this morning. Another game, Christian McCaffrey, he's out for what sounds like 6 weeks now. I think they'll be placing him on the IR. Just like I said earlier, detrimental to anybody who drafted him first round of fantasy. We see Jordan Mason come in and have another pretty good game. I started him in one league, and he literally played better than everybody I drafted. So right on to me. But, like, really surprised to see the 49ers lose to the Vikings this week. I truly didn't see that coming. I thought they would walk all over them. Yeah, and we haven't seen anything from Ayuk yet either.
See, here's the thing. In my personal opinion, I also thought the 49ers would completely defeat the Vikings by at least 2 touchdowns and a field goal. What I didn't expect was Jordan Mason to have another 100-yard game, which is pretty good.
Yep.
He's a tough and good runner, man. He's got a vision. You can just see how he runs. And for Ayuk, I don't even have any words. Not because personally we didn't get him. I'm actually glad we didn't get him because there's time Purdy needs him to catch that ball, and he's just like not there. You get what I'm saying? And it's like, Ayuk, what are you doing?
I mean, he just got paid big time, right? And it's I was saying that he would be, I thought, the top receiver in that offense, especially after all this contract stuff. And the year he had last year, he was very good. And so far, we've seen Kittle and Debo still be the guys ahead of him. And I know Kittle was carted off the field in the game today. I think just cramping. He's back, so I don't think it's anything we need to worry about too much next week. We'll monitor it throughout the week, but I think he'll be fine.
I think about Kittle, man. Kittle's a lot of people would disagree with me, but I like Kittle more than Kelsey.
I mean, I'm a big fan too. I mean, last year, obviously, Kelsey finished ahead and he's on a stronger team, but I think Kittle's like, he's the guy.
But that's because Kelsey was like, what, wasn't he like one of their number one target at one point? Because some guys couldn't catch and some guys weren't reliable or they didn't have receivers like they did, like they did now. And so it's just like, I think, I mean, I'm not knocking Travis Kelce's hustle. He's a good tight end. But it's just Kittle. I like Kittle because I just like the way he plays the ball differently. I like the way he blocks. I think Kelsey is a guy who just goes out there for receptions more, like a receiver. Like, to me, he's like a Gronk. You know, like Gronk. I'm not saying he's, just like Gronk, but he plays sort of like him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's always going out there like option as an extra receiver. You're barely blocking. Like Kittle does all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen Kittle pancake other D linemen or linebackers, just so their players could just get by.
I wish I had like a little GIF or something I could play where every time you said his name, I just put a picture of a kettle instead. I feel like you keep saying Kettle.
Man, he's a good tight end. I like him, man.
I love it. I love one. And, Sam Darnold basically matched Purdy in stats this week, which we didn't expect. And then kind of like we said, Marvin Harrison, didn't really see him first week. We didn't really see Amon St. Brown the first week. We didn't really see Justin Jefferson the first week, but we've seen them all this week. And Justin Jefferson, 4 catches, 133 yards.
Is he hurt? What's the update on that? Like
Jefferson? I'm actually not 100% sure. I was traveling today, so I wasn't quite not fully dialed in. I watched that. Yeah, definitely. Hopefully not gone. We want to see those top guys play and be healthy for sure.
He had a crazy game, man. 97 yards. Right near the goal line. JJ caught the ball, and then he split the field and scored for 97 yards, man. That was pretty dope.
Yeah, it was like I was just looking. He had 4 catches for 133, and I think Samuel had 8 for 110. So it just shows the big playability you get out of a guy like that. Same as Marvin Harrison, like we said, he had an 80-yard catch and run touchdown today. I know you got to take off right away. Is there a game in particular you want to yap about before you roll
out? Honestly,
maybe the Saints.
Yeah. I was actually going to think about that. The Saints and the Cowboys was okay. Honestly, I did not expect Derek Carr to be doing that good.
No, I mean, I didn't expect the Cowboys defense to get trampled on for 44 points.
Yeah, like I see Derek Carr to me is an inconsistent quarterback. When I mean inconsistent, last season what we got from him was some games he was good, some games he was bad. And some games he was terrible. And it was like watching him do this on a defense that you expected, to completely, like, I would say completely stop them because you still have some good players on their team, that can, get some plays in order to unfold. But it's just like, this is one of the NFL's, I would say, top 10 defense, and it's like, that was crazy how you guys let them blow them out. But let's talk about the offense too now.
Alvin Kamara, 4 touchdowns. I mean, that guy's just a fantasy weapon when he goes, right?
Yeah.
I know there was a year, like 2 years ago, he had 5 touchdowns in like
Six,
the playoffs.
six.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
six.
And again today, another 4 touchdown game. I mean, the guy is.
Yeah,
he's a fantasy and football heat.
Yeah, that was pretty insane, man. 6 touchdowns in one game by yourself is wild. Oh my god! And even that game, I remember that game too when he had those touchdowns, bro. It was like there was one play he caught on the screen and it looked like he was just jogging, like he was just walking it. And I was just like, yo, like. But that's a good player though, man. They did say he should have a breakout year this year. Also, Chris Olave, he had an amazing catch as well during the game right at the goal line. I gotta give it to Derek Carr, man, and a little bit of CB Lamb. CB Lamb tried the best he could. Dak couldn't really connect with him like that.
He still had a good fantasy game, but not enough for the Cowboys to win.
Yeah, and then he kept getting closer. They kept moving the ball. I give them that. They kept moving the ball, but they just couldn't get it in the end zone. And I saw that also they put Deuce Vaughn in there. So like Deuce Vaughn, been watching him since Kansas State, little short guy, 5'6", number 42. So I'm kind of excited to see if they want to use him because they have 3 guys back there. They have Ezekiel. Ezekiel's been kind of doing all right. You know, he was kind of pushing the ball, moving the rock a bit today for the guys. And I didn't really see Doyle play. What's his name? Rico Doyle,
or however you pronounce it. Yeah.
Didn't even really see him play. But yeah, watching Deuce Vaughn get a little bit of yards here and there, like short yardage for positive yards as much as he could, that was pretty fun. But Dak needs to learn. He needs to learn how to connect with CB, man, because there's times CB would perfectly catch a ball. He just overthrows him or just doesn't even look at him. Yeah,
no, that's a fair take, but definitely an absolute beatdown I didn't expect to see this week from the Saints. And I didn't even see, because again, I was traveling. Did Shaheed have any big plays or anything this week? Obviously, he was going like in the last round of drafts or not even drafted at all. I mean, he had a big week last week. I'm not sure what he did this week.
Yeah, man. And also, like, I do.
Yeah, he was a top guy, 4 receptions, 96 yards, and a tutty.
I do want to drop some players to get some players because I know there's a lot of injuries too, and questionable if they're gonna play next.
Yeah, well, don't be sending me none of those 2-for-1 trash trades. You ain't gonna get a deal here.
I might take them, man. Let me get Tyreek. You don't need him.
I love it. I don't even answer those trades. I just text you like, "What the f are you doing, bud?"
Hey, man, you never know, man. You might fat finger and you're just like, oh, I'm just like, there you go, brother.
Yeah, I love it. That's fair. It's worth a shot. I mean, I always tell the boys, like, I send trash trades too, and they decline it, and I'll be like, there's no declining, it's accept or counter, which is I got to start my negotiations where I win. Let's work it from there, boys.
Already.
Love it. You gotta roll out?
Yes, brother. I do have to go. Like I said, man, I really appreciate you having me here, man.
And sorry we started late. We'll be locked in next week. We'll get a rocket.
Okay, bro. We actually got through the things I wanted to talk about. You know, like, of course, I know we can talk our freaking mouths off about the other teams and so on, but like, definitely next time, you know us, bro. We'll always find topics to talk about these things, man. And it's all. I just love this week too. Has been good. Like every game, I know there's been games that's been up and down like that. Like real quick, even the Chargers, J.K. Dobbins, everybody been saying he's not going to do that good. 100 yards both games.
Yeah, I'm crying because I looked at him and I was like the guy going like, should I take him late? Nah, he's coming off 2 injury seasons. Massive regret. The guy's ripping.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate you, my brother. Thank you, man.
Appreciate you too. I'm gonna bring Sleep up for a sec and we'll roll out. What's going on, brother? How you doing, Trav?
Hey, doing good. What's going on, boys? How are you?
Not much, brother.
Oh man.
How are you guys doing in the fantasy league this week? I know you're just popping on for us. Juice has got to roll out here right away, but you get a win in the Bushleague fantasy?
No.
I think I'm cruising towards one this week.
Yeah, not looking good for me, man. Not looking good for me in any of my fantasy leagues. So I got in Bushleague. Obviously, I'm I'm sitting with Tua here. You know, unfortunate, really, what happened with him, Juice. I know that was something that you guys probably already talked about.
Yeah.
To his injury, but so I got Tua in my Bush League sports fantasy league, and yeah, just a bummer. And we'll have to see who I'm picking up. I might be picking up Derek Carr. I think he's available. I might be picking up
Nice.
Baker Mayfield. I don't know who I'm picking
I
up, man.
probably got a
Nobody
pretty good.
got Baker?
No.
Yeah,
no,
I would
no,
hope so. He's
Baker.
picked up by now. Maybe he isn't, but a lot of leagues he was definitely picked up after week 1 after that performance. But
He was a tough guy today, man. He was a tough guy today.
He was ripping. I wouldn't worry about picking no one up sleep. I would just send me probably one of your better players, and I'll probably have a quarterback for you. You don't need to go to the waiver wire for nothing.
Gotcha. All right, copy.
Boys,
See?
I do got to head out, boys.
Okay, well, thanks,
I
Juice.
appreciate you having me, man. Trav,
touch-
I'm going, okay?
We'll
Yeah,
touch on
brother.
every game. We'll touch on every game next week. We'll take care of football for you right now, brother. You have a good workout.
All right. Have a good one, brother.
Peace. Trav, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. We were just flying through some football, and we started a little late because, like I was saying to him, it was my mom's 60th birthday, so I traveled home. Showed up at like 7 last night. Surprised her for like 3-4 hours, and then drove 6 hours back here today. So I got home literally right before the show. So we're just winging it this week.
No worries, man. No worries. Let me see if I can get a light. Oh,
You're just winging it this week too. You're in you're in a shrunken little video. You're in the car. You've been banished from your own house by your parents.
Yeah. My family is in town as well. My mom and my stepdad are in from Pennsylvania. So I live in Texas. I'm from Pennsylvania. My family's down from Pennsylvania. Huge Steeler fans. So today it was a little challenge. We had to find a place that had the Steeler game on so they could watch the Steelers. You know, expected them to beat up on the Broncos. You probably talked on it a little bit, but really it didn't go that way. It was Steelers in the first half, but the second half was all Bo Nix and the Broncos. So, you know,
I wouldn't say much. They didn't get in the end zone. They didn't do a whole lot. They maybe found a way to get 2 field goals, which one of them was, I think, in the first. No, they were in the fourth quarter. They got 2 field goals, but
and they had a couple solid drives where, you know, interception in the end zone, right? Could have been a TD, you know, could have been a tie game if that goes the other way, right? If he completes that pass and it's a touchdown. Anyway, had to find a place to watch the game for my parents, and we made it happen. It's been football all weekend here. I feel like you know, watched the early games, the mid game, started watching the late game tonight, snuck out of the house here. But even Saturday, we watched Florida State versus Memphis. Florida State lost their 3rd game in a row, opening the season 0-3. And then we watched the Backyard Brawl. And the Backyard Brawls are really cool on TKB. It's between Pitt, the University of Pittsburgh, and WVU, which is the West Virginia University.
nice.
And it's just a big kind of rivalry game where, you know, it's not the highest level. I mean, it is the highest level, but it's not the top team in college football. But when they go together and they brawl, you know, it's just like the Battle of Alberta in hockey, right? It's comparable.
Nice.
So it's really cool.
Yeah, I'm not as dialed in on college, but I love that. And so, like the game, you can't get the game at your house on like cable, or why do you have to go?
Yeah,
Like,
you know, some games, right? So I don't have you know, I don't have the NFL package, right? Or I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah, it's Sunday ticket or whatever.
Yeah, Sunday ticket. So I get the local games. The CBS game that I had for the second, you know, the second game of the day was the Bengals Chiefs. So
nice.
yeah, when it goes, that was a wild game as well. So
I don't know if you guys get DAZN or whatever, Danzin or whatever, like we get here in Canada. I don't know if you get. Do you have that option, the DAZN or whatever?
So DAZN is not a we don't have it for football. You know, sometimes boxing promotions or MMA promotions or grappling promotions will do pay-per-views through DAZN, but no, not through football.
Oh, crazy! Because like so for me, and I don't know if it's just a Canadian thing or whatever, but so I pay my $20 a month for DAZN, which is like $13 American probably. I get every single football game. Like
that's solid.
So like to me, that's like it's like dirt cheap, right? Like I think that's pretty cheap. But you get whatever. There's 16 games a week, so you get like 70 games for $13. It's pretty cheap, and you have Red Zone, everything. You can watch it back on demand. So I'm a big fan of DAZN. If you guys want to sponsor us, let me know. If not, I'll just keep giving you guys $20 a month.
No, I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, as he was saying, I don't know what games you hit on, and I don't know how much I'll be able to speak to these games because I didn't watch them all.
Yeah, same with me. I didn't get them all watched this week.
But we definitely saw some fun ones, and fantasy. I'm struggling a bit. Jamar Chase was my first overall, not first overall pick, but my first round pick in my Bush League fantasy league, and he's not getting the looks that maybe we had hoped, right? I don't know if
Well, we may as well touch on that game while we're chatting about it. But I was watching it, and I text my buddy that has Jamar in our dynasty league, and I was like, he's just an overpaid diva. I mean, like the guy, all of a sudden he wants to get paid more than Justin. First of all, NFL's got to sort their contracts out. I'll say that every single week. It's so annoying. These guys are like, oh, he gets paid more than me. I'm going to hold out till I get paid more than him. Absolutely ridiculous. But this guy is not as good as many of the guys that are paid more than him. And then he's on a play where they're literally like in field goal range. You're against the Chiefs. You're down 2, and you're going after the play and like causing chaos and getting a 15-yard penalty. And again, I don't know if you've seen the game or not, but he gets them driven out of field goal range. Luckily, Joe Burrow makes a pass to, I think, Gesicki to get them within like a 50-yard field goal that they ended up converting. And then the Chiefs end up winning the game anyways, as per normal. Chiefs getting away with everything. You watch the game and they're like reaching around guys' waist, no call, it's fine. And then at the end of the game, everything on the line. Oh yeah, Mahomes sucks a deep ball, pass interference. They're on the 33-yard line in field goal range. And it's like, I almost can't stand it anymore. Like Brady, there was some bad calls here and there, this and that. But Brady like played some football and won some football games and made passes. But Mahomes is propped up 100% by referees. Like 100%. Fourth down, you don't call pass interference, the game's over. But somehow every time, pass interference, and the Chiefs are in field goal range, and it's been going on for like 3 years, and I can't stand it anymore.
I don't feel that way. And I think that I don't feel that way because I'm not looking for that, and nobody's in my ear saying, "Hey, gosh, they just want this to happen." I mean, a couple hours later, we're on, whatever this is. We're on the
interwebs.
About, you know what I mean? But I don't think about it at the time. I want it next week. Next week, I will watch the whole game, paying special attention to fair calls for the Chiefs, and I'll report back what I think. I seriously do, because
I would love that.
I guess I've heard you say it before, but I don't feel that way live. I see bad calls going both ways, right?
That's fair. Maybe I'm not looking for them from the other team as much, which it could be my problem, right? But
yeah, and then back to the back to Chase. I don't know. Look at what happened with Le'Veon Bell, and he didn't do the same thing Le'Veon Bell did. He didn't hold out for a year and want to get more money. The Steelers let Bell go. He ended up signing with the Jets and the Ravens at one point, and he just never was that running back that he was when he was in Pittsburgh. Again, maybe like you said, maybe it's going to his head. Justin Jefferson is the elite of the elite of the elite, right? Maybe we're talking, he doesn't have Calvin Johnson's size, but maybe we're talking about Justin Jefferson and Calvin Johnson in the same sentence in the future, right? Calvin Johnson, the greatest to ever do it, one of the greatest to ever do it. Maybe we're having that same conversation. Justin Jefferson making Sam Darnold look like an all-star QB at times. It's absolutely wild. It's absolutely wild.
Breaking for like 90 yards off a little catch play, right, and stuff like that. It's impressive for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great route, a great pass, and Jamar Chase just isn't doing that right now. And is it because he's in his own head? Is it because he's being a hot shot? Who knows? I would say that he is a capable receiver. He is almost to Justin Jefferson's level, but
I'd say if he puts up one more hissy fit, they should be back to the negotiating contract to pay him significantly less. Like, sure. I think it should actually be the other way. Like, put up one more stupid little hissy fit on the field, and you're literally like just half price.
No, that would be interesting. That would be interesting if they could do that for sure. I'll tell you what, man, they're sitting happy in Pittsburgh right now because the two teams they were threatened by the Ravens and the Bengals in the AFC North are both sitting at 0-2. Well, they're sitting at 2-0, and it's really interesting. The Browns pulled off a win today, so the AFC North is just in an interesting spot where Baltimore lost to the Las Vegas Raiders to Minshew and the mustache man. This season has been fun. The season's been fun. It's going to continue to be fun, and I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to be following along with Bush League Sports and Bush League Fantasy, and getting in, hopefully getting some wins eventually.
Right. Well, I know I'm gonna speed run through the rest of the NFL games, and then we'll chat a little NHL and that. But we can touch on that Ravens and Raiders. I don't think anyone's seen the Raiders winning that game. Minshew magic. I mean, you guys could be brothers with the mustaches. They're absolutely beautiful. But it just not what we expect to see. 0-2 from the Ravens. Lamar Jackson with an okay fantasy game, but nothing great. But what baffles me is, again, they got Derrick Henry, and I just don't feel like they're using him enough. You see a guy like Jordan Mason comes in, literally, he's not the team's even starting running back, 28 carries. This week, I don't know what he had, 20 carries. You've got Derrick Henry, and you're giving him the ball like 12 times. You deserve to lose.
Yeah, Derrick Henry, he still put up, what did he put up, 15? I don't have it up in front of me right now in the car, but I think he still put up some numbers. But Derrick Henry's not going to be your everyday back anymore. But I agree, they could use him a little bit more.
I guess he had 18 carries this week, but I still it's a bit better than last week. Last week he had 13, but I still just feel like feed that guy the rock, 20, 30 balls. And I feel like, yeah, he's a little older. He's in better shape than 90% of these guys, 95% of these guys. I still think he is. I still think he can do it. I think he could be a guy that carries the ball 30 times a night. I really don't see why not. But
yeah, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it. And they're maybe just thinking longevity with him. How long can this guy help us? We need this guy in the zone for the playoffs to be punching that rock into the end zone.
You just got to win a couple games if you want to make the playoffs.
That's the way it's looking right now. So it'll definitely be interesting as we move through the rest of the season here. And
for sure.
Again, 0-2, man. 0-2.
Nice hit. No, they got ways to come back.
How about Isaiah Likely after the last game with Kansas City? That's all you got? We'll take you in the playoffs. You think Isaiah Likely said that about the Raiders after this game?
I was giggling. I'm like, what are you doing? You lost. Like, you can't say that about a team that just beat you. They got nothing. We'll take it. You literally just lost.
100%.
I was just giggling when I heard him say that. But moving on, Seahawks Patriots overtime game today. Seahawks take it 23-20 in OT. Seems like Tyler Lockett is maybe on the way out, like some of us assumed going into the season. We got Smith-Njigba and Metcalf both going for over 100 yards. Lockett 2 for 15. Are we seeing the fall of Tyler Lockett here and the rise of the young guns? That just might be the case. I mean, Tyler Lockett's been nonstop for fantasy purposes. I've seen a few people in some leagues pick him up, plugged him in this week. They're probably crying as much as I'm crying for starting Keon Coleman that put in a 0. But it's nice to see Smith-Njigba taking that step forward in the second year like I thought he might.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And you mentioned DK, man. I'm stoked. Whenever you see that dude put something in the end zone, yeah, I mean, he just fires everybody up around him. So
when he might be one of the only guys that's in better shape than Derrick Henry, he's an absolute specimen for sure. But
How old is he?
Who?
DK
Metcalf?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Probably 27 now. 20,
yeah,
something like that. I could be wrong.
I mean, he seems like he's been around a while, but he really hasn't.
Yeah, it's been like 4 years, I think,
Yeah.
something like that. Patriots played an okay game too. Wasn't too bad. But Seahawks, Kenneth Walker wasn't playing, so see Zach Charbonnet playing. He played a pretty good game. So for fantasy purposes, I think Kenneth Walker's the guy when he's healthy. If not, I truly think you could fire up Charbonnet each week. So just depending who's kind of the RB1 going into the week, I think it's safe to start him almost every week. Seattle's ever since Marshawn Lynch, and it still continues. They just always seem to have a good run game.
Yeah. Like you said, I like Kenneth Walker ever since I think 3 years he's been RB1 there, and I mean he's a great running back, and we'll see what happens as they move forward.
For sure. Chargers, Panthers, another absolute beatdown by the Panthers. They take a 26-3 loss this week. Not a lot happening there. I wish I had my football cards. I did pull a Bryce Young game-worn jersey card out of one of my boxes of cards. So if he keeps playing like this, it's going to be worth absolutely nothing. Get a couple wins so I can sell this bad boy on eBay. That would be great. But nothing happening in the Panthers squad, like, and year after year too. So it's like, is it the coaching staff? Like, how do you suck that much every week?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to process. I picked up Thielen in the last round of the draft, I think this year. Thielen being their number one receiver, maybe their number two. At least every other play at a minimum, and just nothing.
But Justin Herbert, not much out of him this week either, though. He got 2 touchdowns, but only threw for 130 yards. J.K. Dobbins, coming off of what I thought was going to be just another, I kind of wrote him off. I felt like he's had those 2 big injuries. I felt like no team was really going to lean on him to be the guy, even if he was healthy. Like, I felt like maybe that stretch was done for him, and he gets 1 more yard than Herbert does passing, 131 yards rushing, 1 TD on 17 carries. The guy, great performance. I mean, J.K. Dobbins, 2 games in a row over 100. We're seeing why the Ravens had him in the position they had. And I bet you they might be looking at it now going, oh, this is not a very good thing for us. We're paying someone $12 million, and we just got rid of the guy who is now outrunning Derrick Henry 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, absolutely, man. What's the next game on the docket?
Next game on the docket is Colts and Packers. 16-10 win for the Packers. Obviously, without Jordan Love this week. It's sad to see him go down. It sounds like he's looking at 5 weeks out, or looking to return week 6 or so. But they get it done with Malik Willis over the Colts, which is surprising to you. I would have thought Anthony Richardson would have ran all over him, but he did not. He had 204 yards, but he threw 3 picks. Yeah. And that was kind of probably what cost them the game, right? He had more yards than Willis, but just 3 picks and setting up the other team in good field.
So I want to say the last 2 games. So I caught part of this game, and Richardson did not do much in the first. I want to say he might have even had a lost fumble. Have you seen a lost fumble in there? Maybe not. Maybe it was somebody else on the team. But the first half was rough for him. And I want to say week 1 and week 2, the first half was relatively rough for him, and he picked it up in the second half. One thing that was really impressive for me about Green Bay, obviously their defense, number 1. Number 2 was their running game.
Josh Jacobs, 150 yards. Like, I mean, it seems like these teams that are like, it just seems like when you got a guy that's running the ball, you're winning football games, right? And it seems like, and I've noticed that's been since the tale as old as time, is like, get a good run game, open up that defense, and play some football, or just get a guy, like, feed a guy who's good the rock. Like, I'm like the Denver Broncos. They got Javonte Williams, the second best prospect in a running back to enter the NFL. They give him like 10 carries a week. Like, give the guy 20 carries and you'll see what happens. Like, a guy like Josh Jacobs runs just down their throat, 150 yards, and it's the story of the game.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It wasn't only him. I don't recall who their number 2 is, but they look good. The running.
I know this week their second best rusher was actually the quarterback, Malik Willis. I think he had 41 yards this week, and just almost 200 yards in rushing just from your quarterback and your main running back. But it's just feed the boys the rock. And I think a guy like Henry is a guy you should be doing that with, because you've seen, and we already touched on the Broncos Steelers game. Obviously, I break those games down a little more than most because I'm a Broncos fan. But you see the Broncos run 3 play actions the entire game. Like, and it's like, it goes both ways. Like, a good play action will actually open up the run game if you're getting good throws off it. It'll go vice versa. And it's like, I said it earlier with Juice, Sean Payton needs to be fired. He's got no clue what he's doing. Drew Brees was the coach in New Orleans, and he just propped up this guy and fooled the Broncos into paying their entire draft capital for the next 2 years for a coach that literally doesn't know how to draw up a 4th down play and doesn't understand that play action is something you should probably do in a football game.
it's interesting to see what's going to happen because Bo Nix is Sean Payton's guy, right? Bo Nix was drafted by Denver because that's who Sean Payton wanted to draft. So it's just going to be interesting to see how they can continue to connect and
which
to see
is
if they
like so scary for me because me, we did the show last year. Like, I do not believe in Sean Payton. I do not believe he's that good of a coach. And now it's the first time he's ever drafted a quarterback. He's never drafted one because, again, Drew Brees literally carried this guy's career forever. It actually scares me because he's going to be full commit to like trying to make this guy good. But again, and I don't know if you're here for the show, they got a fourth down play, 4th and 7. They don't even have one receiver that runs past the line to gain. Like, what are you doing? Like, you may as well kick the ball. Like, what's the point of running a 4th down play and you're not even trying to get the first down? Like,
and they don't have an OC. Has he been calling plays ever since he got there?
Who's that? Vance Joseph or whoever? Yep. Is that their OC this year?
I don't know. It looks like Sean Payton's calling plays.
Yeah, and it's like it's bad. Yeah. He was calling plays last year. Like Russ, every play was like at most like 10-yard play. Like everybody last year was like, oh, Russ had such great quarterback stats. That's because he either threw the ball 10 yards or he just got sacked, which means that it doesn't affect his quarterback stats. Like he was literally just either running around the pocket, doing something absolutely stupid that doesn't affect his passer rating in any way because he couldn't even get a pass off.
Yeah.
Or he was just like throwing little 8-yarders. And of course, we got like 4 first downs all last year. And he was back calling the plays for Bo Nix, and it looks a lot the same.
Does look a lot of the same. What's the next game that we haven't talked about?
Browns, Jaguars. Deshaun Watson gets a win. Obviously, coming out of week 1, a lot of people were beaking him, saying, oh, he's washed up all this. I mean, it's one game against the best defense in the league, who didn't show it this week in the Cowboys. But you see Deshaun Watson come, and then there's, again, another allegation against him from 2020. I kind of thought all that stuff was gone and in the past. I won't speak to it because you see so many things, like especially in the MLB where one of the players basically lost his career, and then it's literally found out that like the girl was planning with her friends to just try and scam this guy and take him for money. And it's like, I have no idea. All I know is if he did it, unacceptable. And if he didn't, unacceptable to blame him for something he did. So it's like, those things are like, it's so annoying because they become a part of the storyline and et cetera, but it's good to see the Browns saying like, we are not considering benching Watson at all, which makes you then wonder, like, usually if something's pretty serious, the NFL is somewhat proactive on
they'll step in. NFL will step in all day.
And so when you see something like this where they're like, no, like he's for sure our guy, it's like, it makes me skeptical of what the allegations are. But regardless, that's neither here nor there. The Browns get a win, 18-13, and go 1-1 finally against Trevor Lawrence and the boys.
Yeah, to the story, to what happened, who knows? We live in a strange time, and bad on somebody there for sure. Whoever it was, whether it was him or an accusation. We're not here to judge on that. But one thing I do want to judge on real quick, we've talked about, best hair game in different sports. Trevor Lawrence has always had the best hair game, since he's been in the league, just that flow that he's got. But Gardner Minshew, known for the Fu Manchu, dude, had the nice hairpiece going on there today. It was nice and silky like Trevor Lawrence. So Gardner Minshew's putting together wins, and Trevor Lawrence is losing. I'm liking Gardner Minshew's hairpiece a little better now.
That's fair. I mean, ever since we started this Bush League sports show, there's been a lot of talk around these pro leagues of like, man, that TKB's got beautiful hair. And I really think it's inspired a lot of different athletes that are really growing out. And they see the beautiful locks here on the show, and they know like, man, That dude's looking good. I got to grow my locks out.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, it's interesting. Cleveland got the dub, and we'll see what happens. Did you guys talk about Dallas? Did I miss the Dallas conversation?
Yeah, we did chat about it. We could touch on it for a second. But the big thing coming out of there is I was really high on Amari Cooper. I did say that I was 100% confident the Broncos were 100% going to regret trading Jerry Jeudy for a 5th and a 6th. You draft this guy in the first round, and then you literally screw him by giving him Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, and then you trade him for a 5th and a 6th. And it's like, you guys are absolute idiots. Like, he is a good player. You guys actually suck in the head office. And look what's happening. Number 1 receiver for Deshaun Watson. They see Amari Cooper put up almost no points, which is kind of scary for people that drafted him, expecting another 1,000-yard season out of him, which I hope he gets. He's been pretty consistent in getting those big games. But, man, Jerry Jeudy ripping, and you love to see it. He's a great player. The Broncos did him dirty, and Browns got a guy, and he's an absolute player, absolute weapon.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he progresses this season. And what Deshaun Watson does, right? You look at Deshaun Watson in week 1, even though it was against a strong Cowboys D, he looked like trash, man. He would have looked like trash against the high school team right down the road from me. Passes way off target, not reading the defense at all. It was a crazy game. So glad to see that he could bounce back. I'm not a huge fan of the Browns, but it's cool to see players kind of redeem themselves.
For sure. Moving on to the Jets-Titans. The Jets get their first win of the season. Obviously, took a loss last week. Didn't look like they did a whole lot. I think everybody was expecting them to come in and win against the Titans. Obviously, not that great of a team. It was nice to see Will Levis and Ridley connect for 1 or 2 pretty solid plays throughout the game, but not enough to get it done as the Jets take it 24-17 on the road in Tennessee.
Yeah, close game. One score. Yeah, Ridley. I think Ridley had 2 TDs, right?
No, one touchdown, 4 catches, TD, right. 77 yards.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, glad to see Aaron
Rodgers. Rodgers had 2 TDs, so.
Yeah, glad to see Rodgers get the big dub. Isn't it cool? We've been watching football for a long time. We're a little bit older, a little bit long in the tooth. A Rodgers helmet, it looks like it's from 1990. Like he's got the old Rydell. I don't know. It's like an error in the back. It cracks me up. As pads change and helmets get better. The first year I see a helmet in a certain design, I'm like, oh, that looks funky. But then by the second year, I'm used to it. Now I see Rodgers' helmet. I'm like, that big cue ball on his head, man, looks different than everything else. Do you feel that way or no? Is that just me? Is that just me that seeing him wear like the old Brett Favre style?
I can't really say I really thought about it or considered it much, but now I'm going to be looking for it.
You never noticed? Okay, maybe that's just something that I look.
I just noticed the guy with the concussion cap on. That's the only guy I noticed.
Yeah, I got you. There's only like 1 or 2 of those a team. Those are easy to pick out, huh?
For sure, yeah. It's cool. They have their little cover dressings that match the helmet that go over top of it.
Heck yeah.
But anyway, I mean, you see Tua take that hit to the head, and you think, well, maybe it's a good thing to have.
Yeah, I hope I hope he sits down for a while, man.
Yeah, I mean, like we said earlier, it's not really our thing to touch on his career. That's up to him, I suppose. But he has some neurological issues when he takes those hits. You can tell it's hurting him for sure.
He made the hit, man. He made the hit.
Exactly. Like if you cannot run into another person, that's tough. Yeah. Like it's tough to be playing football at that level when you literally can't even run into someone. Like he didn't even take a hit; he just ran into the guy.
Did Damar Hamlin get interviewed after that?
No, probably sponsored by Pfizer, or he's got the Pfizer curse on him or something. Now when people touch him, they go down. Who's to say?
No, I was just thinking, I feel for him too. You know what I mean? Like, dude, he probably doesn't feel great after that, even though he didn't do anything wrong. Just with his story and what happened with him to, your second game back and somebody runs into you and gets knocked out.
Well, and you know what? I don't know why I never really clued into it, because I was thinking back to the Damar Hamlin thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, he took it. He actually was ran into as well when he whatever happened. I know he says he's not allowed to talk about it. I'm pretty confident I know what happened, but he literally got ran into, and that's what stopped his heart. And then he gets run into by another player, and it stops their head. It's I don't know. He's a magical machine out there. We don't want to run away too many listeners if I start talking about COVID vaccine conspiracies. We'll save that.
No worry. I think you get more. I think you like.
Retitle
the stream. I think we're gonna win.
Yeah, Pfizer boy is at it again, taking people out. Maybe I'll make a clip and put it on socials. Pfizer boy at it again, and then it's just him taking out to it.
Love it. So Jets got their first dub. Aaron Rodgers, 2 DDs, got a weird old helmet on, even though it's not that old or weird. It's just different for me now to see.
Yep. Bucks Lions, big game. I expected the Lions to win. Obviously, at least we've seen St. Brown come out this week. Like I said earlier, we've seen St. Brown, we've seen Jefferson, we've seen Harrison, who combined for no points in week 1. All have electric games in week 2. So St. Brown, good to see for fantasy purposes. We don't have to start panicking. But Laporta, absolutely nothing. So there might be some panic there. And their running backs, I think both went for 17 fantasy points, which is, again, I got lucky. I had to bench Kenneth Walker in my Dynasty League because he's injured. And so then I'm starting Jamar Gibbs, and I put in Montgomery to be my second running back because I'm not really deep at running back in my Dynasty League. Somehow every week they're 15, 20 points. It's like I cannot cry about it. But it wasn't enough to get the win. Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucks are just hot this year. I mean, it's impressive to see Bacon. It could only happen to the Cleveland Browns, where the player they trade away is 10 times better than the player they have.
Oh my goodness gracious! And he went and he did a year in LA too, right? He did a year in LA when
because they kind of did him dirty. They released him, and then he played there. And I think he had a game or two run while Stafford was injured, and actually played pretty good.
He played in Carolina too. I think he actually got traded from Carolina and then he found this home last year at the end of last season, or I guess last year in Tampa. And he's a grinder, man. He works hard, right? He is the guy that's out there that, is at practice early, leaves practice late. He's out there working harder than anybody else. He's not the best player in the league. He's not the best quarterback in the league, but he may work harder than all the rest. Right, he's out there putting in the hours, putting in the reps. Man,
and he's got 2 great receivers. That helps too. Mike Evans, 10 straight years, 1,000 yards. That's insane. Let's see if he can go 11. That would be crazy. But literally, people sleep on Mike Evans. Name another player that's had 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons. It's super impressive. This week it wasn't Evans. It was Godwin with the big game, 117 yards. But Baker Mayfield, man, it's impressive to see. I enjoyed watching his run in the playoffs last year, and it's cool to see them start off this year with some momentum.
Yeah, real happy for him. I want to see the Lions be successful. Love seeing them make the playoffs. Watching the championship game. Seeing them go up big in the first half, then giving the game away of sorts. I know there's some fluky touchdowns, the off Ayuk's head into his hands. I want to see the Lions do well, but I can't root against Baker Mayfield right now. I can't. I absolutely can't.
No, that's fair. I love it. Moving on from that, only a couple more games, but Cardinals Rams. Absolutely impressive performance by the Cardinals this week. Like I said, we finally see Marvin Harrison Jr., who was a consensus, probably number 1 pick in most dynasty leagues and etc. like that for this year's rookies, and comes out with a big performance, a nice 80-yard play. And he made that play. He got wide open, and then he literally had to dive and outstretch 8 yards to finish that play. And he did it, man. Just a show of athleticism from Harrison this week. It was crazy to see. Is the reason he's probably the most highly touted wide receiver to enter the NFL in many years.
Two TDs. First two receptions were TDs in this game. The first TD in the back of the end zone, super
toe drag, nice.
Yeah, very athletic play. He cooled off a little bit in the second half, but I mean, big things are coming for this kid, and with it, big things are coming for the Cardinals and Kyler Murray. And I mean, after Murray out most of last year, I'm stoked for him.
Yeah,
And they're so fun to watch. As you're watching with the Niners loss today, you're like, oh my goodness, hey, what's going to happen out there in the West?
Yeah, no, it's definitely cool to see, and cool to see my dynasty wide receiver get me some points. I love it.
There you go.
But just an absolute beatdown to it. I think word on the street is Cooper Kupp was seen leaving the facility in a walking boot. Whether that is a serious injury or not, obviously they lost Puka Nacua last week, and now down their top 2 receivers. Didn't really get anything going on offense this week, but hopefully the guys are healthy, because you don't want to see some studs like that down. Stafford over 200 yards, no TDs, no ints, but really didn't get the running game going, didn't get the passing game going. Just really nothing from the Rams this week.
Yeah, no, I agree. Again, man,
my buddy Coco, though, if you're watching, I think the Rams will be great in the future. You should send me a big trade for Stafford. I think I might let you have him. No, just because I just like you so much.
Is that your Bushleague or is that your dynasty?
That's dynasty.
Gotcha. Love it. What do we got next?
Really, that's about her. We went through all the games live right now. Bears and Texans. Texans are up 16-10. I think the Bears are going to win 0 games this year. Caleb Williams, not the answer. Not going to be it. Justin Fields is going to have the Bears crying at the end of the year. They're going to realize we had it great, but we screwed this guy. We should have never drafted Caleb Williams. Justin Fields, will you please come back? That's my theory.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I saw something the other day. I think it was right before the start of the season that was a pundit for ESPN or somewhere. I don't even know. I don't even remember who it was, but he said Russell Wilson's going to start some games for the Steelers. Justin Fields is going to start some games, and neither of them are going to be starting games for the Steelers next year. I don't know if that's true. I do hope Justin Fields kind of figures it out. I thought today he had a great first half. Second half was pretty shaky. The whole Steelers offense was shaky in the second half. But Caleb Williams, I saw one drive. I watched one drive, maybe a drive and a half, where I thought that he didn't look too bad. I thought that he was looking okay, and it'll be, I don't know. Too early to tell.
Maybe I'm just like, I seen the NFL post like an update, and it was Caleb Williams nails. Like, this is the NFL. Like, cool if he does his nails. I could care less, man. I do my toenails sometimes. My daughter loves it. She giggles. I do not need an update from the NFL that Caleb Williams painted his fingernails pink. I do not give a shit. I never will. I would show me less of that and less Taylor Swift and give me more football. Like, I just don't give a shit if he painted his nails. Like, make a post about anything else.
Yeah, I agree.
That was just a rant I needed to get out of me.
No worries. Glad you did, man. Glad you did. They showed Taylor a lot today. As well. So it was.
Well, I know my buddy Beaner, and he might be watching too. He texts. He's like, "Watch this. The Chiefs are going to make the game-winning field goal, and they're going to pan to Taylor Swift." And then, like 10 seconds later, he sends me a picture. It's panned to Taylor Swift, and I was like, I just feel like the NFL's just been setting up for some sort of election collusion. They're trying to prop up Taylor Swift so then they could get Taylor Swift to sell all the NFL fans that they need to vote Democrat because they can't seem to kill Trump, even though they tried assassinating him for the second time today. I'm pretty sure the NFL is just in collusion with Taylor Swift to try to eventually. You watch. I promise you. We'll play a clip back in about a month's time. I guarantee the NFL will make some big thing about voting, and I guarantee somehow
they already are. There's already commercials in the U.S. on it. Oh wow! So you're not seeing them because you have DAZN. So in the U.S., there's already commercials on voting,
which is fine to tell people to go voting, but have they they have Taylor's?
Yeah, they can't. They can't
push aside, but
no, they're just
all Taylor Swift does is push aside. So now you get. I know what they're doing. They're not stupid. They're like, we're going to prop this chick up, and then all our fans are going to be following her, and then she can brainwash them for us. That's what's going on. I know.
What do you think about the Trump assassination attempt today?
I mean, obviously, I don't mind getting derailed on that topic for a few seconds because it's just honestly disheartening to see. I mean, you don't like the other. I'm living in a country where I don't like the guy who's leading our country for 9 years. Half of America is living in a country where they probably don't like Biden or the country leading him. To be killing your political opponent it's just disgusting. What disgusts me the most is watching everybody be like, oh, I wish they would have killed him. This, like, anybody who says that should have the right to vote revoked. Like, they shouldn't even get a say in society. That is just absolutely disgusting. And if you think that your only way to win is to take out the other leader, well, guess what? Last I fucking checked, politics is about democracy. It's about whoever the majority wants wins. And so if the majority votes for this man and he wins, you're supposed to accept it, just like everybody accepts the other outcome. So it's like, it really rattles me to see that kind of like violence in a situation like that, because this is just a dude running for president. And I mean, I'll go down the rabbit hole. The Democrats have tried to murder every single person that's ever been against them, even when JFK was like in their party. Well, as soon as he was like trying to end wars and trying to get rid of the industrial war complex, dead. Martin Luther King Jr., dead. Trump, literally going to change the way. And he's, again, last I checked, everybody's like, oh, Trump's going to come in and be a global dictator. I don't know. Last I checked as a Canadian, there was less wars anywhere on the earth when he was president. Oh, we're just going to try to kill him because we're just literally ran on this continent by a bunch of people who just want war and death and love brainwashing the fuck out of all of us. So
we live in
that's
strange times, man. We live in strange.
That's my absolute rant on it. But I mean, I don't know what your opinion is on it, but I think it's truly fucked up. And at least they gave the man Secret Service. Originally they wouldn't, which is, again, insane. In 55 years since political opponents have been given Secret Service, ever since the JFK assassination, it never been denied ever. Biden denies it to both his political opponents. And then once one of them almost gets assassinated, they're like, okay, we'll give you the Secret Service. And the Secret Service is who saved Trump's ass today by finding the guy and literally shooting at him, right?
Yeah. So I haven't got in on all the details yet. And I agree with the take that it's absolutely wild and we shouldn't be living in a time where this is even remotely something that's thought about or is happening. All presidents and former presidents should be assigned Secret Service anyway. That's just something that I'm pretty confident that's what happened. So Clinton, Obama, all of these past presidents should have Secret Service assigned to them anyway. You know, the amount of Secret Service, I think, is in question. Maybe the type of Secret Service is in question. But all in all, man, it's we live in crazy times and it's unfortunate. And just hope and pray and send good vibes out into the world that shit like this stops happening.
Yeah, and it's like, well, I guess what's going to happen next, and we'll get right back into sports, but what's going to happen next politically? Because last time they just literally tried to murder the man on stage. And then 2 days later, they're like, oh, we couldn't murder him. You know that guy we said is super healthy and fine to run the country? He's not. So now you get a new person, Kamala Harris. We should just turn this to a political show. But that is the most illegal thing in American democracy I've seen in my lifetime. I think the primaries and stuff in America are kind of a joke. I've always laughed about them a little bit, but you literally didn't give a single person in America the choice. And then the day after you couldn't murder the political opponent, you literally put in a new, anybody who's we should vote for her, you guys are fucking idiots. That is anti-democracy and I don't care what side anyone votes for, but I'm just saying that is anti-democracy no matter which side did that. At its highest level, the people didn't even get to pick the candidate. You just decided we need a new one after you couldn't kill the other dude. Insane. But we should get back to sports.
Yeah, let's get back to sports. Dude, I like the little rant though. Dude, hey, so fantasy football, I'm struggling. I'm 0-1 right now, about to go down 0-2. I was hoping the Houston Texans defense, I picked them up today before the game. I was hoping that they could sit in here and hold Caleb Williams and Chicago to a low scoring affair. They got 10 right now. I'll have to look to see if they they've had any turnovers or anything since we started. But
Love
yeah,
it.
we'll see. We'll see how the week
Nice.
turns out.
And speaking of fantasy, I just brought up there's our tournament over at Bushleague Sports. We got a tournament going on between 6 different communities, each going head to head every week with different prizes, all kinds of cool stuff on the line. You guys took a narrow loss last week.
It's close, 40 points.
Yeah, which is that. And so for anybody that doesn't understand, the way it works is each of these communities have their own league. And then what I do is every week I take the 12 scores of everybody in the league, combine them, and that gives your community score. We're going head to head throughout the year. We got a lot of prizes on the line. There'll be big prizes for the community that wins the whole thing at the end of the year. But, Strang Sassy coming off a second place, glorious finish last year. I really expected to see you guys take a win in week 1, but it didn't work out. But here you are in week 2, and you guys are up against this week Accutars, who took a loss to us last week. So be interesting to see who comes out on top this week. But for anybody who wants to get involved in that, just please follow along on Bushleague Sports on Twitter, on X, wherever, and you'll learn a little bit more about that league and what we plan to do with fantasy and this company as we move forward.
Yeah, it's been fun, man. I'm really enjoying the head-to-head play between leagues. It's been interesting in our league chat. We've had people helping some of the newbies, navigate fantasy football. Some of the things that, newer players might not know, or tips and tricks, like, you and I've talked about a lot in the past that, if you got a guy playing Thursday and he's in your flex spot, get him out of there, right? You want your flex spot to be flexible.
Well, especially you see something like Christian McCaffrey, who all of a sudden is not playing right before the game on a Monday night. I actually think that Thursday, get him in your lineup, get him on the flex. Monday players, get him in the flex if you can, because you never know what's going to happen by the time Monday comes along. Give yourself a little more flexibility if that guy goes down.
I agree. And what I'm saying is nice about this is, yeah, I want to beat everybody that I play against in the Shredding Sassy Bushleague Sports Fantasy League. However, I want them to do well enough that we can compete with these other teams, community on community. So teaching the newer players these tips and tricks to be successful in their league without colluding, without, putting myself at risk for loss, I think it's going to be valuable going forward. So,
there's a lot of people that are playing, that have joined the Bush League, whether it's through you guys at Shredding Sassy or Vayner Sports or Accutars or my Bush League Sports project, that they just joined because they like us, they like what we're doing, they wanted to learn. There's a lot of people that have never played in an NFL league, so it's kind of cool to also introduce that many people to it. Obviously, Sleeper, we host all our leagues on the Sleeper app. I've probably onboarded like 500 people, 1,000 people to that app in the last 2 years. So, if you guys ever want to sign the kid, we'll talk some fantasy. We'll put a bigger Sleeper logo on this page. But I love that app too, and it makes it really easy, I think, for people coming in to playing their first fantasy football leagues. It's just a really easy interface to play on.
Hey, quick question. Can you hear any interference on my end right now?
No, it seems clean on my end from what I can tell.
All right, perfect. I turned the aircon on. I've been sitting in the car without the aircon on for a little while. Getting a little hot and heavy in here, getting steamy in this car as we're getting into the fantasy football talk. But you just were mentioning Sleeper. I'm doing my first year of English Premier League fantasy soccer, fantasy football, and we're using the Sleeper app, and it's perfect. I mean, I love it. I've never played, but I understand how fantasy works, and I understand the English Premier League schedule, and the Sleeper app has made me be able to come in and play and not suck right away. I've actually showed my friends who are big soccer fans here in Texas and who play fantasy through other apps. I've shown them Sleeper, and they're like, this app's better than ESPN. It's better than, I think DraftKings has a fantasy section for EPL as well. So I'm stoked, and I'm stoked to be more involved in different fantasy leagues on Sleeper going forward beyond just their football app.
Absolutely. No, you're 100% correct. And before we move on, this week too, every week there's a mission. So highest score in the whole tournament gets a prize every week. And there's just a little mission for everybody to complete. This week's week 2 mission is simply follow Bam Bam's Fitness Club. My buddy Joel, and partner in our online fitness company, one of the best online workout programs on the planet. Simply follow his account, and the highest score who's followed him this week is going to win a shirt and 3 1-month memberships. They can give 2 away to some friends. So it's going to be a cool little prize this week worth about $200 and a nice little bonus for anybody who's playing in the Bush League this week. Normally, you got to wait till the end of the year to get a prize. At the Bush League, we give them out all the time.
No, I love it. That's cool. And these little mini challenges and rewards within the season, just another motivation, another enticing benefit to get people to play fantasy with us. So it makes it fun.
Love it. Well, I say we got to transition over to a little snow skate hockey, and I'm just gonna rip this video just for shits and giggles.
Say, man, you're in a privileged position right now. You're in a place to be. Matter of fact, a place to G, with the one and only S&OOP. So what you gonna do now? Turn that shit up and let it bang.
I'm here with the winner, Derek Lewis. Derek, why'd you take your pants off? My balls was hot. I understand.
California, so it'd be cool for the whole family to come back to Canada.
I always bug all my American buddies. They're like, hey, you guys never get out. I'm like, it spends every summer up in my hometown. What do you mean?
As far as way back home, it's not, it deserves to be back in Canada. That's the true roots.
Quick little break. The boys had to catch their breath. But moving on to NHL this week. Training camps starting up around the NHL this week. It's cool to see. I know you sent me over a little clip of the Utah hitting the ice for one of their first training camp practices in the nice little Utah branded jersey. So it's cool to see that NFL's firing up, and we're almost ready to get that going this year.
What do you think of those the new Utah jerseys?
So like they haven't picked a name yet, have they? Right? Like, because they had that vote up for like 5 or 6 names, and did they pick one?
No. So, but check it out. I don't know if they're picking a name or picking a mascot, right? The name may very well be the Utah Hockey Club, and their mascot may be the Gunslingers or the Yetis, just like Dallas Stars. They're the Dallas Stars, but their mascot's Victory Green. He's an alien, right? You know what I mean? When it's your daughter got the hat. So the Utah Hockey Club may be their team name, but their mascot coming in the future may be a Yeti.
I feel like it'll probably be like Washington, where it's just a year and then they end up with a name. I still think it should be the Utah Yetis. Shredding Sassy should be the official sponsor, and they should just have a Sassy on the jersey. I don't see why you wouldn't. Obviously, perfect, easy mascot. Shoka, we can send them out. We already have the outfit.
We do.
Send it over to him. He can just run around all googly-eyed around the fucking stadium.
Poor guy, I'll scare kids away. You know, I really do think it will be the Utah Yetis because of the kid integration. You know, all kids know about Yetis and how they can make so much off of merchandise for it. I think it's a pretty easy win for them. But to the jerseys, I like them. I like the old school, Rangers, Penguins. I like that across the front. Somebody mentioned in one of the articles I was reading that they look like, the villain hockey team in any hockey movie. You know what I mean? The Mighty Ducks, the Hawks. Hawks, they're the black and blue, and so it was pretty funny. But I like them. I like the colors. I think they're pretty sharp. Maybe a little too close to what's going on in Seattle, but yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Do you think we're going to see? Obviously, you mentioned Seattle. Do you think we're going to what do you think we're going to see out of Utah? We've had a couple expansions in the last few years. Obviously, Vegas Golden Knights and Seattle Kraken. Vegas Golden Knights basically make the Stanley Cup in their first year. Seattle Kraken doing absolutely nothing. Two completely opposite spectrums of the way that expansion draft went for those teams. What do you think we're getting out of Utah?
Yeah. Well, so right, Utah situation's a little different with, pretty much pulling that whole Phoenix roster and placing them in Utah and calling them.
Oh, yeah, I'm an idiot. It's not expansion.
No,
I'm an absolute bozo.
You're not. It actually makes it good because we can talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It's not an expansion, but it is. And who knows why the heck the NHL did this? Maybe they've talked about it. Maybe it was naming rights. Maybe it was team rights, so they couldn't exactly move the Coyotes. But it is the whole Coyotes team and roster moved to Arizona, and now they're a new team. It's not a transfer. It's not they move cities. It's just a new team. It's magic.
Maybe I just paid so little attention to the Coyotes that's why I'm just like, this is a brand new team.
Well, the Coyotes had a dope logo, had dope jerseys, but they were terrible, unfortunately. But Logan Cooley he's a great player. Logan Cooley. It'll be interesting to see him progress this year. Last year, saw some signs of greatness out of him, and yeah, it'll be exciting to see him. TJ Ginla, is his name TJ?
Yeah, TJ.
TJ Ginla coming in. Is he gonna be is he gonna make the opening night roster? It'll be fun. I do not think they're making it very far. I don't think they're making the playoffs, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe
I guess the biggest thing will just be to see, do they fill the stadium? That's the reason they moved. The biggest thing was the lack of attendance. I think on most home nights, they felt like they were an away team because they really didn't have very many fans. And when they did, it was usually fans of the opposite team. I still think you're going to see a lot of opposite team fans because they are that like lesser fan based team. But hopefully Utah rallies and they can fill the stadium and it's at least half home fans every night. That'd be nice to see.
So it will be. I think it will be. And here's why. Phoenix is a melting pot. Phoenix is where people go, right? Hey, I'm from Chicago, but I live in Phoenix now. Hey, I'm from Missouri, I live in Phoenix. Hey, I'm from California, I live in Phoenix. Utah
just the retired rich person hangout.
Yeah, retired, and or just rich people where they go, right? So Utah's not going to be like that. Utah's got the Jazz, and I would be interested to see what the Jazz ticket sales were last year, how well the Jazz did with selling out the stadium, because if the Jazz do well, I'm assuming that the Utah Hockey Club's going to do well. I guess that they, as they brought their hockey operations team up to speed and hired people for their hockey operations team, I guess that they got a lot of help from the Utah Jazz team. So I'm really excited to see what happens. I hope they do well. I'd like to see them be successful. And looking at the Kraken, back to the Kraken, yeah, they didn't make it far their first year, but let me tell you, their second year, I think they made it to the conference, not the conference final. They made it to the second round of the playoffs. So, who knows? Who knows where we're going?
Well, and if I remember back as a kid, because obviously there hasn't been a Stanley Cup won in Canada since, I can't remember, 93 or something. Like I was only 5 then, so it doesn't really count. I wasn't even really hockey on my radar yet. But what I do remember a little later on is when the Quebec Nordiques left, and they left to become Colorado Avalanche. And the very first year they became the Colorado Avalanche, they won the Stanley Cup. And I remember as a kid, because by that time I was pretty deep in hockey, and the Red Wings, I guess, still hadn't built that Colorado rivalry yet. But I just remember as a kid watching Patrick Waugh and Sakic and all them guys go from the Nordiques to down to Colorado and then win the Cup. And as a Canadian kid, I was like, the fuck? You guys couldn't have just done it in the last 10 years? You go to America and then you win. You're the same goddamn team. So we'll see what happens if that's what happens here. They just finally get out and they're like, man, God, we've left that godforsaken Glendale Arena. Let's win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, they're at the Mullet Arena, the Arizona, the Sun Devils, Arizona State Sun Devils Arena. Dude, too funny. I'll tell you what, the Central Division is going to be tough. And I think they remain in the Central Division. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But with, teams like Winnipeg, like Colorado, like Dallas, like Nashville, with all of their their firepower now. Oh man, they're in for a rough one. Chicago, I think, may be in for a rough one as well. I'm so excited for hockey season. It's almost here, baby. You.
I love it. I love it. Well, moving on from that, I know we'll wrap the show up here right away. You got to get back to your parents and enjoy your visit. But your guy Nick Robertson, 875,000 1-year deal.
Yeah, you and I talked about Nick a little bit as being, Jason Robertson, big Dallas guy. They're from Acadia, California, brothers. Grew up playing hockey. Asian American, Filipino mom. Um, just two great players. Jason Robertson doing really well. Really wanted to see Nick come to Dallas for a year. He's been in Toronto for
play
a
with
few
his
years.
brothers.
Play with his brother, and he's a little guy, small, just a grinder. He's out there working his butt off. Second, third liner. I think he even got, third, fourth liner, but I think he did get some second line minutes at times during the season 2 years ago with Toronto. Wanted to see him in Dallas. Cool to see him locked up in Toronto, though, to play with the big dogs for another year and see what happens. But Nick Robertson, I think he was kind of one of the bigger news pieces this week in hockey, signing again with Toronto.
Yeah, no, it was a big move. And then one other thing I seen you touched on, which I'm actually completely oblivious to, but the Robert Luongo Beer League. What we got going on here?
Oh, so great, so great. So there's this beer league team that they're in the playoffs and their goalie can't play. So they put out this Facebook marketplace. Hey, need a goalie, this rink, this time. We're in the semifinals, lose and go home, you interested. And the guy that reached out was Roberto Luongo. And I don't know if they thought it was a joke. I don't know if that communication happened on Facebook, if it was like, okay, hey, I'm a hockey Hall of Fame caliber goalie going to come play. I don't know if that connection, I don't know if it was a joke, but what I do know has happened is he showed up to the rink, walked in the locker room with the beer leaguers, fully padded, went out and won the game against the reigning champions in the league. So just kind of a cool story. The guy,
I didn't know that. That's so cool. You know what I mean? That's like
legendary, and he won't
like
talk about it either.
That's like if Connor McDavid showed up and just played on a beer league team, but which is like, you got to know that guys that are at that level and that good, they have to have the itch to play the game. They always do. I mean, even me, I was never at that level, and I still always want to get back, strap in the pads, play some goals. So that's it's probably cool. And I mean, I guess, like, I don't know if there's any legalities involved in that, being he runs a team or whatever. Obviously, he wouldn't have done it if there was, but it's interesting. He doesn't really want to talk about it, but pretty cool.
Yeah, it was like, we'll leave the stuff of legend to legend or something silly like that. But just a great story, and just a fun little hockey thing. And a lot of these guys, they retire, they still play, right? So here in Dallas, I've heard of, obviously I don't play in the higher level ice leagues here, but I've heard of, Marty Turco still throwing the gear on. I've heard of Ed Belfour skating out. I've heard of
Nice.
a lot of cool things happening here. Just again, really cool. Hockey's a sport for everyone, and it's the greatest sport in the world, man. It is the greatest sport in the world, and I'm so excited that it's almost back.
I love it, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to getting you in on our Bushleague Dynasty Hockey League, so that we'll start getting that sorted out. Me and the boys have been going through how it's going to look. Obviously, we've been running that league for 17 years or something like that. And so the way we're going to do it is, normally we keep 4. What's going to be happening this year is everyone gets to protect 2, and then they get to put a bounty on 3 guys. So like the 2 guys, like the 2 other guys that we would probably keep, most people are going to have like a first and second round bounty on that player. And then I let everyone put a bounty on the 3rd player as well, just because like they might lose guys. So I felt like the risk should be a little even both ways. But basically, you and one of my other buddies who's going to be joining, what we're going to do is you're going to get to basically see the list of players. You'll see who's kept, and then you'll have the option to take some of our keepers, but you'll have to pay up like a first or second round if you want one of the guys, better guys. So we'll sit down, we'll chat about it in the future. And actually, I think we should break that down on the show, because I think it'll be good for people to learn, the way I view players and how I break them down and that. But, the normal thing would be, okay, you two guys come in, we have our keepers, and you just pick your 4 keepers and go. And that works too, but I think it's going to be a little funner. At least you guys have the option. Like, you can see half the keepers are available. If you want to buy one off someone, that's up to you. You pay the capital if you really want that guy. At least the team you're taking him from gets that capital. And if you really think like, hey, I'm going to be better off just taking 4 guys that aren't going to be kept by anyone and drafting first overall, then, that'll be a strategy too. But I think we'll go through that on a future episode.
Yeah. I love the idea. I'll be excited to see the list, right? I'll be excited to see the list and the costs associated. And yeah, right. You just got to see it on paper, right? I got to see. So how many people are in the league?
It's 12. So we're expanding to 14. We're expanding back to 14 teams with you and buddy.
Gotcha.
Us this year.
So 24 are held, and then another 36 are
got a bounty on them. Yeah,
got a bounty on them. Okay, all right.
So basically, the top 48 guys would normally be kept. So in this situation, the top 60 guys kind of have some kind of stipulation on them, and then you guys will also get first overall, second overall pick in the draft. But so you'll have the option. Like we'll say like my team, for example, I got a stack team. So like I put a bounty on the 3 players I put a bounty on for my squad was, let me find it here quick. Of course, it's for some reason not showing up where it's supposed to. I've been having troubles with Yahoo. You got to figure your shit out. But either way, it's not showing up. It's back. Yahoo, you really got to figure your shit out. It sucks. Sorry, but it does. But so like I'll look at my buddy Balin's team. He's keeping McCarr and McKinnon. He's got Kachuk available for a first, Eriksson Ek available for a third, or Keller available for a fifth. So say you're like, I want Brady Kachuk. Okay, I can buy him for a first round.
Yeah, it seems pretty easy. Okay, gotcha. All right.
It'll be pretty simple once you look at it all. Like other guy, his keepers are Matthews, Hellebuck, Reinhart, Robinson. So he's protecting Matthews and Hellebuck. Reinhart, if you want him first, if you want Robertson second, and then Konecny would be a fifth. But then say you got a team like mine where like, so I am so stacked that I'll be dropping Stamkos, I'll be dropping Tavares, I'll be dropping Demko, I'll be dropping Bobrovsky. You could make a team without spending anything by taking guys like that, and then you would draft.
But I would draft in order, right? Or do I get? We'll have to talk about it because we might have number 1 draft pick and number 2 draft pick, and assuming that those are going to start at around the 60th best player,
49th best player.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, 49th best player, but. Do he and I go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 all the way until we meet whatever you guys are at, or is it just in order, right? So to break it down simply, yeah, sure.
We normally would keep 4 guys.
Exactly.
You guys are going to have the option to come into the draft with 4 keepers as well. You're either going to have to buy them off ifs or take guys that we aren't going to keep anyways. Understood. And then when the draft starts, we're all even. We all have 4 guys. You guys are just going to pick 1, 2, and then we'll go 3, 4. It'll be a normal draft beyond that kind of deals.
If we do not come in with 4 and we start off,
you will come in with 4. You have no choice. Okay. You have to come in with 4.
Okay, all right. Then that makes sense. Yeah,
you'll either be able to buy some off us, or you'll be able to like I said, pick some guys that are getting dropped. But then you'll also get first pick in the draft because it's probably likely you will have a slightly lesser team than the guys that have been playing for 15 years. And
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's all good. It makes sense. I'm just here to learn, man.
It'll be fun. We'll maybe do it live on the air. We'll go through it and then people can watch.
And I'm interested. I got to go. I do got to go. But I'm interested in why your buddy's keeping McCarr as his top 2. I understand the block shots. I understand. But like looking at last year, is McCarr really a top 24 scoring fantasy person?
100%. I would say, yeah. I mean,
Really?
I think when we went through last week, when we did our basically top 25 players, I mean, McCarr was number 2 on the list for me for defense. And I would say that puts him well ahead of some of the other wingers, this and that. When you have a guy who does hit all those back end stats, blocks, hits, etc., and then he's also putting up 60, 70 points, locked in power play 1. He's actually I would say a super key piece to fantasy for sure. And like I said, we'll break that down in a week or two a little deeper for the listeners. We'll let them watch how that breaks down, and we'll actually kind of go through the list of who was kept, who had a bounty, and maybe even bring you and the guy who's doing the expansion on the show and maybe make those picks live. That might be fun to do.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm very interested, and those back end ones are not typical in most fantasy hockey leagues. So where you see, you're in some fantasy hockey leagues, you're not going to see a goaltender, let's just say a defenseman, go off the board until the end of the second round. Maybe it's a little bit different here where, there's points for more items. So very interesting, man. I'm excited to get involved and learn.
Sweet. And before we roll, I'm normally going to have a little clip on it, and we'll get a little more details in the future. But obviously, you're one of the founders of Shredding Sassy. You guys do a lot of stuff in action sports, skateboard, snowboard, etc. And so I'm going to make a little clip in the future for the Sassy Shred Report so we can dial people in on skateboard hockey, give them a little up and ups on what's coming up. This week, nothing too huge to chat about. But what I can say is we're about 3-4 weeks out from some mountains starting to open up around North America. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm sure you guys are too over at Sassy.
Yeah, absolutely. I would be ready for an event happening at Big Bear in Southern California later this year, early next. But we're really excited about the snow coming. We've been all out there in the world from a skate perspective, a mountain bike perspective. But, I think like me, a lot of the Shredding Sassy community, his heart is in the snow. So we're getting pretty stoked about it.
Well, if you need a guy to come yap, you know who to call. I'll come yap.
Love it, man. All right, TKB, man, I'm going to get out of here. But again, I appreciate you, man. Love talking football. Love talking hockey. I'm tired, but I'm actually kind of fired up now. So who knows? Maybe I'll go home.
Love it. Well, go enjoy the time with the fam, and I'll roll us out of here, baby. We'll catch you next week, brother. Appreciate you.
Later, man.
Take care, dude. All right, well, everybody, thank you for joining us again this week. We covered basically every game in the NFL. Right now, we got what do we got? Fourth quarter, 19-10. Texans are up on the Bears. So I'm going to roll out, watch the last 10, 12 minutes of that game, and see what happens. See if C.J. Stroud or Caleb Williams. We got the last year's number 2 overall pick versus this year's number 1 overall pick. I think it's going to be the Texans all day, but we shall see. But either way, I appreciate you guys coming every week, chatting a little bit of football with me and my pal Juice down in Toronto, little hockey with me and my pal Sleep down in Dallas. That's actually, I just realized that I'm talking hockey with my American buddy, and I'm talking football with my Canadian buddy. I don't know what's going on here. We're all mixed up, but love it. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you check out our fantasy sports tournament over at Bushleague Sports, Shredding Sassy, Vayner Sports, Accutars, Not Okay Bears, Bam Bam's Fitness. Check out all their companies and projects, see what they're up to, and just enjoy it. Hopefully we gave you a few tips that'll help you dial in your fantasy lineup for next week. Stay tuned to the Bushleague Sports Twitter. We're always giving updates on fantasy sports and everything else. And so we hope you had a good one. We hope you enjoyed the show. We hope you had a laugh. We hope you learned something. And as always, like I say, we're just here to have some fun, and I hope you had some fun too. So until next week, stay Bushleague, you beauties. Take care.
From
the bottom, ain't no half stepping. I'm the dog, I made it through so they don't ask questions. Long Beach, and it ain't no half repping. Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions. From the bottom, ain't no half stepping. I'm the dog, I made it through so they don't ask questions. Long Beach, and it ain't no half repping. Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions. Tell them never question, dog, I'm sitting goat status. Eating chicken with my gin, smoking on some cabbage. Used to pedal on this
moment where you skate down the street and some shit for brains yells out of his window, "Do a kickflip! Do a kickflip! Do a kickflip!"
Rags and house shoes, they know how the dog do. Skinny, heavy pockets, the West OG. Came across the globe, say they don't know me. Been applying pressure from 8 to 24 like Kobe. Mr. Hall of Fame used to bend the corners with strollies. Had to lay the blueprint, they rolled out the carpet. Anything I wanna own, I got my own market. Blew this, blew that, everything beautiful. Still ain't sold my guns and I still ain't had to use them though. Was once a hard head, now I'm counting blessings. I made my own way, still they don't ask questions. From the bottom, ain't no half stepping. I'm the dog, I made it through so they don't ask questions. Long Beach, and it ain't no half repping. Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions.
This is some straight, hey.
This is, oh gosh.
I got thin to smoke it.
Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions. I can't name a thing that I didn't have step. From the streets to movie screens, been getting bags and checks. If it's solid, you won't hit me with no bad rep. Legendary Crippin' made it happen, and that's on the set. Still rolling on gold things, I'm a boss. Go get it. What the fuck you waiting on, man? Let's go.
Blaming on my mom from all the crippin' I see. Blaming on my grandpa, all the hustling.
Yes, sir.